Welcome to our humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 30. No, we are not in May. On January 31st, 2025, at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, just to acknowledge we have Storm in the background making sure all the technical works as best we can. Problem is, being an uncontrolled electrokinetic, technology does not work well with me sometimes. Hence the last minute decisions that we're not running. He is also there to make sure problem children are not a problem, even before they become one. This is why most of the time I don't know about it, but I look at it and people tell me, "Oh, your lead moderator is a bully." No, my lead moderator is doing so much more to keep this stream going than what I would, because I reached a point where I'm very close to shutting it down just because I'm tired of the stupidity of people. And that's putting it bluntly. I think that was actually putting it politely. But we have Ellie Moon in the background, okay, in the room. She can help keep people in line and keep the conversation going, as well as making sure that I do my best to keep my health on track. Well, the reality is, had a bad day, so this is actually for you, Lynn. One for pulse, one or no blood pressure 142/84 with a pulse of 75 right at the end of a run in. I've had way too much to eat today, but I do have my water with me. So, all in all, I'm still breathing. To be blunt, I just told my little brother I wasn't explaining myself to them anymore. But, with this in mind, we have Renee in with Renee Andrews. You are in with the gold. How nice of you to join us. Glad you could make it. Hopefully things are going well on your end. Now, today we are looking at attaining success in your life, following persistence. Now, the reality behind persistence is this. You start doing something and things go No, I agree with you there, Ellie. When things don't go quite right, persistence is literally how you're going to get through it. Okay. The reality of it is this. I've got a stubborn streak that is second to just about none. Okay. To the point that when I had my stroke back in 2018, I went in there without being able to talk or walk on the 28th of December. I told the doctor, wasn't speaking clearly, but I told the doctor I was going home for New Year's Eve. Okay. I was healed enough to be let out on a day pass in 2 days. Now, what I didn't tell the doctor is I was going home on New Year's Eve because I had a game of D&D that I've been playing for the last 20 years, every New Year's Eve. I wasn't missing it. So like I said, I may have written a book on stubborn. But when you're aiming at attaining your own success, do not let anybody tell you you cannot do it. You will undoubtedly require assistance. Absolutely, you will. Do not make the mistake of assuming that you're going to be able to do everything on your own. There are people that you're going to require assistance from. Okay? And I'm the last one you want to talk to about trusting people in general, because that's just not going to happen on this planet anymore for me. There are a small handful of people, and I'm happy to say that Storm and LA are two of them, a very tiny group that I absolutely, that I will trust. Chad, how you doing? You are in with the silver. And I know that sounds really bad. Here I am telling you I'm a spiritual guide. I'm a spiritual guide, and I'm telling you I don't trust people. Given what I've seen in this world and the fact that I'm still seeing the same stupidity going on, I'm seeing the same stupidity going on today that I saw 2,000 years ago. It's not really surprising I don't have a lot of faith in the way people are doing things. The reality of it is this. Persistence boils down to, as your parents, I know mine did, but as your parents may have told you, when you fall off the horse or you fall off the bike, the best thing you can do is get right back on it. I do recommend checking and making sure you didn't damage the vehicle in the first place. But this is why I am still plugging away. It's been a very long haul, but I am happy to tell you that with what I've got in motion, I started off. I'm not going to go into details here. I may I may do so on a day in the office, but suffice it to say, I knew how much money I had at the beginning of January. Okay, I was way into my overdraft. I'm still into my overdraft, but I'm into my overdraft less than what I was. So, to me, this is a major win. I'm now seeing that I'm coming out of the bottom end of it. The reality of it is persistence boils down to this: not giving up on you. Okay, not anybody else, just on yourself. You've got a goal in mind. That the way to attain it is to keep pushing for it. You only lose when you quit. That's the only time you quit and that you lose. Frost Kitten, you are in with the bronze. How you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is this. When you look at it, if you quit making the effort, yes, you have lost. Okay, or you've given up. Take your pick. Okay, much as I fight with the idea of why I am doing this, I know I'm helping a few people, but I will tell you, when you've got 8 billion people being told that the world's going to end and somebody else is going to come down and straighten out your mess, I'm telling you, 4 people doesn't really add up to a lot. So when we're looking at this is why I argue the point, because I'm listening to so much of it. And yes, we are climbing. We are sitting right now. We're fluctuating at just around 650. We're at 652 right now. It jumps 1 or 2 and then drops 1 or 2. Okay. I know full well I am not, if you will, an exciting YouTuber, if that's what you want to call me, podcaster. I've been called a lot of things, and some of them are repeatable in polite company. Okay. I know I'm not that exciting. Okay. There's a lot of things I'm not. But the one thing I won't do is I'm not about to lie to you to make you feel better. Okay. Not to worry, not a knife. Letter opener, but not a knife. I appreciate that, Frost. That really is appreciated. It gets to be, well, it has gotten to be a lot worse than what you might think. But the fact that I managed to attain that one little goal, have more money at the end of January than I had at the beginning, is the reality behind it. But am I going to sit down and play a video game and want to let other people watch me play? There's lots of people doing that. Okay. I can point out a lot of the complications. I just don't see the point. Okay. So, when I talk about the list method, that one doesn't have anything on it. This one does. Okay. This works like an absolute charm. It has recently, as in the beginning of this month, it has recently been expanded into the desktop calendar. Boy, that came out well. So just a couple of neat little things when we talk about persistence. You may be using a PDF or PDA or something to that effect. We're talking tech here. I still deal with tabletop calendars. But I will tell you, on your calendar, you desire your life to change. Track what you're up to. Get your bills listed as far as when they're due, when the billing date is. Get them written down in a place you can track them. Because I will tell you, the more organized you are, the better off you are. And here's why. Money will not buy you happiness. But as it was pointed out to me, it does afford you the ability to look for it in a lot more places. The reality of it is, I spent my life essentially throwing money away. Okay, having a somewhat, and it may be hard for some people to admit, but having an addictive personality does create its own complications. As I've told you in the past, I was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Okay, well, that same tendency. Steve, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. You are actually in with honorable mention. So I do hope your day is going well. The reality of it is that same personality and the fact that I've got no sense of taste, no sense of direction, and no sense of space to speak of, the kitchen is not my friend. So I got addicted to eating out. Absolutely disastrous move on the financial part. Because I will tell you, your money and your business doesn't care how you feel. Also, by the way, your house doesn't care how you feel. However, if you clear the clutter out of the way and get that all sorted out. Oh, and whereabouts in Egypt are you heading up for? Are you planning on settling there from Frost? Just because I'm nosy. I know this world is a lot smaller place. It's a lot smaller than it used to be because of technology. Unfortunately, in my opinion, in my experience, technology has made the world a lot smaller, and has made people a lot more disconnected. Okay, yes, I use a computer. Okay, it still provides an excellent way to keep people away from each other. Okay, I mean, this is just the reality behind it. Operation, how you doing? I did not see you come in. But I am glad to see you popped in. Now, I gotta ask, Russ, where pray, I could look it up, but where, pray tell, is Saqqara, Egypt? I know where Egypt is. We're ahead there. Heck, I spent a number of years in Egypt in a past life. In all fairness, I've never left the continent this lifetime. But when we look at persistence, it boils down to deciding what are you going after. Get your mind focused on it. Move and adjust the energy of everything around you that is not giving you, that is not leading you in that direction. The reality of it is this. Once you get your mind centered on things and you rearrange the energy so that everything that's not working towards that gets out of the way, you will find your life changes in a very big way. Okay. Now, I've got I was just thinking, is it close to Cairo or, one of the major cities? Because I don't know a lot about Egypt. Okay, but I am fascinated by the train there, and that's okay. I can look it up later. That's not a problem. You know, the reality of it is, like it or not, like I am very reclusive and getting more so. Since an event just a couple of weeks back, if that long ago, I don't even go to my favorite restaurant that often anymore. Part of that is financial, and I will tell you, whether I can cook well or not, I can cook well enough not to starve to death. Okay, so I mean, the reality is I did not drop the 60 pounds in 2 years by starving. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much, Sarah LA. I appreciate that. You know, the reality of life is this: get your mindset on what you would enjoy, what you enjoy doing. Do not make the mistake of going, oh, I'm going to do that because 10 years down the road I'm going to enjoy it. Look at today. Okay, very critical. Now, there's a lot of people that will tell you you can't make money writing, you can't make money singing, and you can't. Take the word can't and throw it out of your vocabulary. Because I'll tell you, can't make money writing. I don't know. Anybody ever hear of Stephen King? Okay, maybe he made a dollar or two. Or how about Gene Simmons where it comes to singing? Yes, these are rarities. Okay, they absolutely are, and they require a staggering amount of effort. But the only difference between them and you is simply put, well, there's technically two differences. One, lead time. Okay, and two, they may have started developing their talent a little earlier. But there's nothing stopping you from doing it, save yourself and the number of people. Yeah, Storm's just adding, just because they can't doesn't mean you can't. And that's very much the case. Okay. When I was growing up, my dad was the superintendent of Sunday schools. Okay. We grew up broadband Protestant, but dad always told us every Sunday we always had to recite the first line of a very famous poem. Okay. And the poem was called Can't. Okay. Now, the one line I always remembered was can't is a word that is foe to ambition. There's a whole long line of it. Look it up on the net. But I will tell you something that I haven't found published anywhere. Okay. My father, when he revealed that poem to us, told me where it came from. I have never found it written anywhere where it says. Oh, yeah, LA goes, we use cans around here like a bucket challenge. But my dad told me that poem, Can't, most of the places I've seen, it's listed as unknown author. Okay. My dad told me point blank, and there's no way I can prove this, and he's not around anymore to ask him. Okay. But he turned around and told us it was written by Danny Thomas, a famous actor from way back in the 40s, I think. And it was written by Danny for his daughter because his daughter was going through a bad time. Now, I took that whole thing to heart, and I just don't believe in can't. Okay. And Steve goes, tell us more about your father. Well, here's the nice part about my father. My mom and dad they met in March of 56, got married in August of 56, and their first child was born in April of 57. In the 60 years they were under the same roof, in 60 years under the same roof, they never, I do not recall them ever, are even arguing. Okay. My dad did tell me point blank. He says, don't tell people what you do. Now, I understand I grew up in a Bible Belt. And being in a Bible Belt, epileptic, and an active psychic, Dad was trying to protect me. I failed that lesson entirely. So with that in mind, with that in mind, the reality of it is Dad always put everybody first, put other people first. You think about it. He was, they had that short of that marriage. Okay. There were 5 boys born to the family, 2 foster kids, and an adopted sister, and mom and dad were the block parents. So we always had people around, and Dad always looked after people. Okay, in that respect, I'm doing what I can, and of course, the reality of it is that the reason I've still got the sideburns, I swear that's because of him. He had them all of his life. I appreciate that, Frost. I will tell you, I sent a letter to my brothers that, in my eyes, I have failed at most of the things I've done in life. Now, maybe I set too big a picture. I certainly trusted the wrong companies. Okay, because every marketing company that I turned to, except Buy Me a Coffee, every single one has taken money. Has taken my money on the promise they were going to help. I have had not one inquiry from any one of the major corporations I worked with that I made the mistake of trusting. Buy Me a Coffee, I've made more money through them, well, quite frankly, from you guys, than I have in all the thousands that I spent elsewhere, that I spent with the other companies. Now, Dad always say, whenever we'd ask Dad if we could do something, he'd just look at us and go, I don't know, can you? Have you given it a shot? The thing is, he always pushed for us to learn. Okay. Now, the neat part about it, and this is the message that I keep aiming to bring back to you guys. Okay. This is the message that Dad really brought forth. Okay. Those of you that have the strength and ability to do so, protect those of you that don't. Okay. If you're in a better way than other people, absolutely help them out. Frost, I have no problem with that at all. With the concept, at any rate. If you wanna contact us, if you'd like to contact us, I will certainly look into it, because this is something that we've got to change in this world. And I'm one person. Yes, I'm a mouthy, pig-headed, stubborn individual. And yeah, very much LA. I've been told so many things that, by companies, by corporations, that are just absolutely ridiculous. Now, my father had an eye for distance. Now, if you're in the military, you'll get a kick out of this. Dad was an aircraft mech. He was an aircraft mechanic. Okay, and he worked on the big planes for the military. Well, here's the neat little part. He would back. Now, if you know what a Buffalo is, and I mean the plane, this will make sense. He would back at the end of his shift, at the end of the week, he'd back the Buffalo into the hangar with a 1/4-inch clearance on either wingtip. Nobody on the base could get it out of the hangar until Dad got back to work on Monday. Oh, what is this? Yeah. Storm goes, cease not to learn until you cease to live. Just the great and powerful, Scroggs. Oh, that's where that came from. The neat part about it, I see these things. There are some very powerful messages out there. Okay. The biggest one, there used to be a little short. I think it was actually a half-hour show way back in the late 70s, early 80s called You Can Do It, Duffy Moon. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. This is why I still use a tabletop calendar and a solar powered calculator. Now here's the thing. I've got a cell phone, I've got a computer. This I bought in 1979, 35 years ago, if my math is right. Okay, I've never replaced a battery in it. The intriguing little thing that I look at with Dad is Dad always, well, let's face it, Dad worked until he was 80. And this is a neat little health tip for you. Dad was a type 2 diabetic with severe arthritis and a sheet metal tech. Okay, he put the birds back in the air. Okay, but on 1 teaspoon of unpasteurized honey a day, he was able to work until he was 80 years old. The thing with tabletop calendar, like I've got a 15-foot desk here. Okay. And the reality is it works like a charm. Yeah. LA goes, I use a planner. I would, and I did for a while, but the problem I found with the planner, for me, is you turn a page and all of a sudden you lose track of what you're up to. The tabletop calendar I use puts it all together. That was the funny thing. Dad left me. He apologized. Steve, my dad apologized on his deathbed for leaving me believe that I was off my rail. Okay, did he have the same experiences? No, but he was way more psychically active than I thought. Okay, from now I do know that he was, and I cannot prove it. Understand, my father was military. Okay, so I don't have a way of proving virtually anything that happened, but I do know he had very high clearance. I didn't have all the ins and outs, but I knew a lot of it. He confirmed on his deathbed all these past life experiences I've talked about, all of the paranormal experiences that I've discussed. Dad confirmed all of them, including all of the UFO stuff. He says on his deathbed, he literally told me that he says, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry your mom and I both left you thinking you were completely lost. You weren't. All of your memories are absolutely accurate. Okay. Mom apologized at the same time. Both of them on their own when they were in the room alone with me. But Mom told me she believed everything I said because I refused to change my stories at all. Mom says, even when we tried coercing you to change your story, you refused to change word 1. So, do I still hold Dad close to my heart? Certainly. As a matter of fact, this particular blanket that I'm holding up. Okay. Now, you'll notice it's a blanket of many colors. I crocheted that for my father. And intriguingly enough, if you know anything about the coat of many colors, okay, you'll understand why that had significance when you realize that my father's middle name was Joseph. Blue Cruz, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, it was on his day. I mean, it's been a long time, Steve, but yeah, he did. The reality of it is, I came back here. I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. My dad, when he was the superintendent of Sunday schools, he went in there were 40 people in a military broadband Protestant. Like, we got a new pastor every 3 or 4 years. Dad took that with his outlook on life. He told people, I don't care what religion you are. If you are between the age of 6 and 18, come to our youth group. Understand it is Christian based, but I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Muslim. He says, if you're in this age group, come in, join with us. If you're over 18, come and give us a hand. We're always in need of assistance. Well, Dad took a group of 40 people and grew it to a population of 240 in the 13 years that he was superintendent. Then we had one pastor walked into the church, into the youth group, and goes, if you're not of this specific denomination, get out. I haven't set foot inside a church since. Neither has the rest of my family, to the best of my knowledge. So all in all, we are looking, my dad was a phenomenal role model. Okay. And just to give you an idea, this is the guy that told me it's always better to walk away from a fight than it is to swing. Dad was 5'7" with a 52-inch chest, 18-inch forearms, and was a Golden Glove boxer, trained by a Shinto master with the use of the cane. This was not somebody you wanted to have upset, but he is the one that told everybody, walk away. Okay. Of course, he did have the advantage of being able to hit somebody 3 times before they hit the floor. But in a nutshell, that's Dad. He always held the same idea. And this is why I say persistence works. I spent 2 years in severe depression, which you may or may not have known about, aside from the fact that I told you. Okay. But with that in mind, okay, I finally got things moving to the point that I'm going to land on my feet. I will continue this. But make no mistake about it, I'm done with the explanation, at least to my family. The reality is, it doesn't make sense to me. If it's working, to let it work. I now know how I'm going to land on my feet. Now, I had phenomenal goals in mind. Okay, I've still got them there. But I have been years in depression, putting my writing on hold. Okay, and what I've done now is gone, okay, this venue gives me the option of going, here's where we're heading, and show you by what I'm doing, show you how I go about it. One of the things we have to remember is that once you believe, and this is why I wrote the book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, because you're the one that's going to have to do it. Now, like I've told people, okay, I'm quite willing to go on anybody else's speaking engagement or live show. I got no problem with it. There are topics I won't touch here. Okay, my ultimate goal is to take this message to a group of about 8 billion people that are being led down the garden path by people claiming to be spiritualists, claiming to be leaders. And what they're doing is leading you down a very dark road. Okay. I'm one person with a mouth. And rest assured, I've got a vocal temper that is hard to match. But that message has to get out. And I will tell you, this little group of people, I'm surprised I ever got more than 3 people listening to me, never mind 652. Okay. So when we take a look at the way this world is, it really boils down to this. And I hate to be the one, no I don't, but I'm going to pop a little bubble for you and you can believe it or not. Whoever you call God is not coming down here to fix your world. He gave you free will, free choice. He gave you freedom to do things your way. What he didn't give you was freedom from consequence. No corporation is going to come in and say, oh, and the government that says, oh, we're here to help. You might want to take that with a box of salt or a salt lick, take your pick. Okay. If they were going to do that, as it was put on I saw it on Facebook once years ago, somebody please explain. The quote was from the States. And like I said, it was about 10, 15 years back. And they turned around and said, look, there are approximately 360,000 churches in the United States alone. Now, with that in mind, with all of them claiming to help the poor and help the sick and help the homeless, why do we have 200,000 homeless? Like, where's the rationality behind it? I've got a goal of building this real neat little thing called an actual healing center, an actual, let's try English. Think, then speak. An actual healing center designed to put things back together. But the fact of the matter is, I'm talking about a job that a project I should have started when I was like in my early teens, when I knew it was necessary. Okay, because we are talking about something, I've got the floor plan, the purpose, the whole 9 yards laid out, okay, for an actual active healing center to cover all aspects of civilization. Yes, we are talking about a multi-million-dollar task, okay, and frankly, I barely keep a roof over my head. Ultimately, you are correct. And, here's the funny, Frostkitten's going, we can't fathom God's plan. It would literally blow your mind. And I will tell you, now, that's okay, I just got a munchkin in here blowing a gasket. I will tell you, I do have an understanding. I'm not about to say it here because we're not going down that road. I will on anybody else's channel. You want my actual take on the way that God works, what he set up and why he set it up, where the whole superstructure sits. You desire to talk to me about that one? Absolutely. Give me a buzz. Bring me on your show. I won't do it on my show. I got slapped by YouTube for making an innocent comment. I thought it was innocent about my take on medical. I'm not about to tangle with it on here. Okay. But I will tell you, it was set in motion. Okay. You got part of the picture. And when I say you, I mean all of you. But persistence will turn this world around. Waiting for the government or the corporations to turn around and straighten this disaster out. Well, have you ever heard the term watch pot never boils? Or it's as exciting as watching watching paint dry. And absolutely, Frost, pick a time when I'm awake and I will absolutely come on with you. I just figure, I have enough trouble with technology that doing things that directly are going to cause a problem, and I've already been warned, doesn't make sense. Okay, the neat part about it, The only thing, well, where are we here? Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Absolutely get in touch with me. We'll figure something out. My schedule is pretty open as far as how I can operate. Just requires I'm conscious. One of the biggest things that we have to realize is persistence boils down to staying on course. Okay. And I will tell you, this neat little thing called list method. Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This little list method works like an absolute charm. Where am I here? Nope, I have to do that. Just marking down something I actually already got. But I've got tracking of my to-do list starting January 1st of last year. Hey, yo, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about this world is there is phenomenal potential here. Uh-oh. Looking at that, Christine, I was watching a YouTube video showing a hedgehog giving birth to babies. It was just absolutely phenomenal watching it. And yeah, they are, as a matter of fact, this is a little bit of a diversion. Where is it? There it is. This is one you won't see very often. Okay. That's like I keep odd stuffies. Yes, 61 years old and my bed's got all kinds of stuffies on it. Although they have to get moved. The reality of it is this. Get a dream in your head. Whatever it is, do not let anybody tell you you can't do it. Okay? If they can't, that's their problem. I do recommend a few things. Okay? I do recommend a few things that you avoid doing. Not the least of which is you do not, don't try and roller skate uphill. It's a pain in the neck. And roller skating downstairs is just painful. Yeah. I had for a little while outside my front door here. Because I live on the main floor. But we had a ferret that used to come by. But when we're dealing with persistence, it boils down to this. You've got an idea in your head. You've got a goal in your head. Now, one of the biggest things we have to do, okay, that you really have to do is understand the way finances work. Okay, they don't care how you feel. Now, there's phenomenal books out there to tell you how to handle money. If you got $40,000 or $50,000, I'm laying odds that you don't. Okay. Oh, there we go. Frost Kitten goes, I have a cat on my... Yeah, that would be appreciated. I like things that put a smile on my face. I'm telling you, this is why I don't watch the news. One of the biggest things that we have to realize is this world has a staggering amount of potential. Okay. Now, I opened Inner Voice Enterprises back in 2007. Okay. The problem is I didn't do anything with it. Now I'm finally starting to do something with it. Okay. So now is when I will operate. The fact of the matter is that you have the potential to change the way this world is running. but it's going to take steady work. Uh-oh. LA goes, I was fishing one day and got a mess of crappie. An otter popped by and scored a couple for me. Yeah, they are. Oh, now there's a rarity. What's that? Once every 5 years, Farron's just laying snow. It's snowing in the Comox Valley. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in the Comox Valley. Specifically, I grew up on Little River Road, right outside the military base. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, we've got a world that is in absolute serious trouble. Okay, but working together with persistence and a clear vision, we can make this a better world for just about everybody. Some people will never be content. They've got this brilliant idea, the same as the Egyptians did. Oh, I need all this stuff around me and I'm taking it to the next world. It ain't going with you guys. It really isn't. This is why I've gotten rid of so much stuff. And I'm still getting rid of stuff. But then I spent 40 years as a professional pack rat. Now, what I'm doing at this point is I am actually working on Christmas gifts that are handmade or hand enhanced is more to the point. Okay. And I cover that on a day in the office. Okay. So on Friday night, Friday and Monday and Friday from 4:30 usually until about 6:30, I work in my office. I'm just here on air. The reality is that we have a situation here. Okay, we being the royal we, civilization is in serious trouble. Okay, the reality that we have to look at is if we continue waiting for somebody else to move it, okay, to change something, it's not getting changed. Okay, it's somebody else's responsibility. Here's a new way of looking at it. You see something that's not right in your life, it's your turn to stand up. Absolutely ask for guidance from somebody that has successfully done it. Okay. I will tell you, for those of you that are, because I know a lot of you are financially strapped. Okay. And I will tell you this. One of the things I figured out. Now, we've covered it before. The number one method of advertising in the world is word of mouth. To the best of my knowledge, I'm the only one that ever figured out how to track it. Okay, I'm certainly the only one that's planning on implementing it. But I do have a proviso. I've got to have $2,500 a month from all sources combined in order to be able to deal with that. Okay, because once that happens, I've literally worked inner voice out to the point that after I hit 2,500 coming in, roughly about 75% to 80% of my net income over 2,500 will go back to the community, back to those of you that have referred people, back to the food banks, back to the pet shelters in the way of food, back into helping people with, they just wanted a meal out, or they just wanted to buy groceries. Okay, 80% of the money that I've got coming in over 2,500, okay, it's going to end up going back to the community. Okay, and maybe I should say up to 80%. Now, if you look at the top of the stream, you'll notice that neat little thing. Thank you very much, LA. You'll notice that neat little thing called the Buy Me a Coffee. Every one of the books I deal with, my consulting, all of the programs I'm working with there. Okay. Now, I gotta ask, Frost, are you referring to gaming as in gambling? Or are you referring to gaming as in Dungeons and Dragons? Yeah, I kind of figured you were referring to the run, but, because what it boils down to, I literally laid it out. I've got the corporation laid out to a full sized, even when and you'll notice I said when I am drawing $1 billion a month, I'm still going to be putting out that kind of percentage back to the community. Fact of the matter is, I've got it made where I'm living. 1,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, no stairs, no yard work, no elevator, main floor. Okay. And I'm only paying $1,000. Okay, well, 1,100 now. I'm only paying 1,100. A 1-bedroom in the same apartment is running something like 14. The funny part is I keep getting told by people that, and I've got to work a few things out, but especially if you know how to advertise for us, we may actually have something that can be worked out. I'm done dealing with big corporations. Okay, I consistently trusted them. In my opinion, really freaking stupid move. Absolutely dense. But I'm no longer interested in it. Okay, but this is, like I said, I started Inner Voice with a simple idea in mind. Help as many people as I could. I started that in 2007. August 11th, 2007 at approximately 5 minutes to noon. Okay, and here I am, what, 15 years later? Gotta be longer than that. Yeah, just 17 years later, I'm still here. The reality is that I came to the conclusion the only way we're going to change this world is if somebody steps out of the shadow and says, this is where the hiccup is. Do something with it. And the reality is you don't have to take my word for it. The reality is do your own research. Okay? Because it's one of these things that we just have to get turned around. We can no longer wait. Okay? And let's face it, one person on this planet against 8 billion, not good odds. Although I do know by looking at records, with saying we're getting 60, 70 views per video, which means we're looking at about 35,000 people, I think. Let me see that. 652 times 65. Sorry, 42,000 people right now that are seeing the videos. So yes, we are making an impact. But we have an interesting situation. And that is literally to, yes, somebody's got to spearhead it. I understand that, but the reality is the people at the top are not the best people at the top. Well, let me ask you this. If you want to put somebody in charge of something, what is the number one quality for hiring somebody or for putting something in? Okay, for putting someone in a control position. What is the number one quality that person's got to have? Okay, yeah, I'll give you half a moment, but we're running out of time, so I'll give you the answer before we go. Okay, number one quality of the person to put in charge of anything, whether we're talking running a country, running a corporation, running a business, it doesn't matter. Well, given what Jupiter is, there's a couple of possibilities there, Frost. Okay. But I would be inclined to say you were probably Caboran. Okay, in a past life. Okay. Now I could go into that further, but I will tell you that and tell you this. bring that back tomorrow. We'll make a point of it, or drop in at the office. In any event, we are down to the 5 minutes. So thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the great interaction. We will be back again tomorrow, 4:30, starting at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, PST. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for